All right, everyone. So this one was a roller coaster of emotions, but ultimately we fell on happy with it, which is good, all things considered. So the movie that I am talking about today is Hellhole. It's a Netflix horror movie. I tried to switch it up for you guys since I've been doing Shudder almost exclusively since I started the channel. So it's a Polish horror film. It's about a detective who pretends to be a priest in order to infiltrate a monastery. And in this monastery, there is a conspiracy that the monastery and the men in the monastery are responsible for a series of disappearances around the area. 8 women to be exact. So that in itself is already a pretty unique uh, setting for an investigative horror film. I didn't know much of it. I just saw the name Hellhole and was like, it's enough for me. Anything with hell should just be creepy, right? That's like the consensus is hell and hole, hell hole. It's either some Pornhub shit that leaked over on a Netflix or it's a really fucked up movie about demons. So I was like, you know what? I unfortunately have a fixation with demonic possession movies. Ever since The Exorcist, ever since I watched it when I was 8, I have a fascination with movies that explore demonic possession, dead languages, heaven and hell, good and evil. Like to me, that thematic that thematic string that carries these movies are like my bread and butter. I really enjoy. Now, what's horrible about that is that if you know anything about the demonic possession, exorcism film genre, most of them suck. Like a good mass majority. You can at this point we're just taking what we can get, right? Like if I see a demonic possession movie or an exorcism movie anywhere, I can't even judge it harshly, or else I'm just gonna stray away from the genre completely, because they're just not very good. Now, the Evil Dead remake to me is a really great demonic possession movie, not in any way correlated to it being a remake or sort of an in-universe spin-off of Evil Dead, but because it genuinely feels like the kind of creepy, eerie, demonic, just unsettling culmination that I've been looking for when it comes to demonic possession movies. I mean, her makeup is insane. The when she's under the basement and her face is like this and she's like, cut it, cut it, cut it, like that stuff, super effective. I love the work, the prosthetic work on that, the makeup on that. That feels like a really great demonic possession movie that just so happens to fit within the Evil Dead brand, and it works, right. And even Evil Dead Rise has those, but that's like, I think that those movies, while they have similarities and are about being possessed by the Necronomicon, those movies get by on being more because they are crazy and out there, and that's, you don't watch those for death, you watch those for extravaganza, so you're not like comparing it to something like The Exorcist, which I do all the fucking time. So all this to say, demonic possession movies really fucking suck. Like, they're heinous. I came into this hoping that it would not be that shit all over again. Another by the numbers, tick the lists, tick the boxes of burning crucifixes turning upside down, weird voices, bed shaking, just none of that shit, please. Just, and if you're gonna do it, please don't do it within like the first encounter. Boy, did this movie do everything I just said I didn't want it to do. Like within the first 30 minutes that we're introduced to the first exorcism, right? Because essentially we're following this cop who's trying to figure out the disappearances of what's happened to these women in within the radius of this monastery, and so he has to pretend to be one of them, right? So what he does is he wears the robe and he does their practices and he walks around, and they introduce him to what this monastery really is, right? Or what they're saying it is, which is a place where people come to get exorcised and have the demons expelled from them. And so, in theory, that's a cool concept, right? You could do a lot with that, right? So at first, I'm like, okay, this is all just in theory because you could shit the bed. Pun intended, because demons shit beds all the time in movies. So I was like, okay, this could be something. But within the first exorcism, we literally have a girl wearing a nightgown and setting the fucking crucifix on fire, and and her writhing and gyrating and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, well, it was nice to hope stupidly, right? It was nice to have hope. It was also not nice to have that hope completely just shat on. But then the movie did something interesting. The movie did something that really got me. And I was like, okay. So all the dumb shit you just showed me, all the stuff that I didn't want on there because it's overdone and it feels forced, was all there as a ploy. See, it wasn't a real exorcism. And so that's when the real mystery starts. Because then you know that the people, the men in this monastery, are in fact responsible for what's happening to these women. And was that woman on the bed having demons expelled from her, was that a real exorcism or was it fake? Was this whole thing a fraud? And man, let me tell you, when I realized what the movie was doing and that it was presenting these things in a surprising manner, and then going, yeah, this feels like we're ticking boxes because we're also aware that these movies do this, and we want to sort of settle you into a comfort, right? And this sort of this artificial comfort of like, yeah, this is what it is, but you're already watching it, so finish it. But if you continue to watch, you are rewarded with something that is surprisingly different. There is a real mystery here that they're trying to solve and work towards, and the whole, here are all the cliches in front of you in one scene, was on purpose to throw me off and settle me either into sort of a discomfort or a disappointment, to then completely, just over, supersede that and go, hold on, we're just kidding. Because what ensues after that for the last two acts is a really dark revelation of what happens to these women and what they're doing to these women, and a revelation on behalf of the detective, which was really good. This movie has gore. It has some good gore. It has some surprising moments of violence that go far and wide to impress just how dangerous this monastery is. There's betrayal among them. There's a hierarchy. There's also this is all occult focused. It's occult focused, and in that exploration, you start sort of disassembling this idea of what this monastery was at the beginning and building something completely different. And what you're left with is a bad shit crazy third act that I enjoyed very much. I really like this movie, man. It doesn't do anything new in terms of scares, but the scares, I'm not here for the scares as much as I was here for the sort of crazy visuals that you're given later on, as well as the mystery and the character moments with this detective and what he's discovering, and how you're suddenly realizing not everything is what it seems. And what this movie has that's very strong is it sets a precedence for what you think it wants you to think this is, and then it completely shits on it and turns into something completely different. And that, I thought, was a really unique take on possession, demonic possession, and just the idea of like the environment of monasteries and churches as a whole, because they're overused in movies. But this was a really, really good surprise that I highly recommend. It's not gonna like rewrite any rules, but I think that for what it's focused on, it executes everything very well, and it left me surprised for a really grandiose third act. The third act on this shit is worth watching alone. It's so batshit crazy. They went for it. They did not hold back. They said, no, we're going to commit to this. And they went for it. And I think they succeeded, because the third act was really surprising, really dark, really apocalyptic, really badass. I really liked it. And on one occasion they did something that completely surprised me, and I can say that in that part I didn't predict it, and it actually caught me off guard with something that it did that led to the third act that made me very, very happy. So watch this movie if you have an hour and a half to spare. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. It's not scary, it's very occult, and it's disturbing more than it's scary. And again, asking me if something's scary, I'm kind of the wrong person, because I will always mostly say no. I'm there for the vibes, I'm there for the atmosphere, I'm there for the dread and the anxiety, not so much the scares, because even jump scares don't really get me unless I'm playing a game and the headphones are all the way the fuck up. The story really hooked me, and the visuals really hooked me, and that third act fucking, oh man, good on them for committing and giving me that third act. So worth watching. Give it a shot. And if you hate it, come back in the comment section and don't write anything. I'm just kidding. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me if you disagree. Tell me if you agree. Also, if you know of any good, at least good demonic possession movies that you think I might enjoy, both American and foreign, mostly foreign, because I'm pretty avid on having seen all the American ones, even the shitty ones, unfortunately. So if you know of any good demonic possession movies that you think I'll enjoy, please leave them down in the comments. I'll watch them and review them. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for spending a slice of your night with me. I appreciate you listening as always. And as always, I will see you at the movies.